Good morning, Bucknutters. Welcome to the Bucknuts Morning 5 here on Monday, October 3rd, 2022. I am Dave Biddle. Very happy to be joined by Steve Hellwagon. A ton of stuff to get into, Steve. Let's start with Mayan Williams. My God, did he look good. He's looked great all year. Ties the school record with 5 touchdowns in one game against Rutgers, tying with, just guys like Pete Johnson and Keith Byers. Love what I'm seeing out of Mayan Williams, man. He's a bowling ball out there that is so hard to tackle, and he's more elusive than I think he gets credit for. He can truck you, and he can make you miss. Love what I'm seeing out of Mayan.
Yeah, he had an outstanding day, no doubt about it. And they didn't find out Travian Henderson wasn't going to play till right before game time, I guess, and made the decision to sit him, and that moved Mayan Williams up from being 1A to being 1 and only. So he took the ball and ran with it literally and figuratively, and was nothing short of outstanding, I thought. Offensive line as well deserves a ton of credit. They are just moving people off the line of scrimmage. Rutgers defense came into the game, I think, top 20 nationally in a lot of categories. Now, granted, they hadn't played anybody. I don't think Boston College or Iowa are considered great offensive teams by any means, but nor Temple. But I thought they did an outstanding job with the run blocking, and he really, as you said, got every yard he could possibly get. I thought. I mean, he just kept coming back and kept coming back, and really one of the better games for an Ohio State running back. I mean, they've had a lot. You talk about Dobbins and back with Zeke, and then moving forward with Henderson last year. They've had a lot of great games out of running backs in the last 5 or 10 years, but that one was up there. That was pretty good. And you just want to see, one of the questions in my chat that I'm going to do later today is, should they change the roles? Should Williams be the lead guy and Henderson be the change-up guy coming off the bench? And ordinarily, I'd say, no, I want Travion to start the game because he's got that ability to take 180 at any moment. If you just give him a little bit of a crease, he can squirt through there and he can be gone. And one thing, as I continue to harp on, they haven't thrown the ball to the running backs out of the backfield yet. Maybe they're saving that for the real opponents down the line. I don't know. But, I look at it and I just kind of say that they've got to get those guys more involved one way or the other in the passing game. And I think that, in terms of what those roles should be going forward, I'm good either way. I could start Henderson or I could start Williams, just so long as they both get plenty of work. That's all that matters to me. Starting the game really is immaterial to me.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm glad they have them both. And a big reason Mayan played well, this offensive line, man, on his 70-yard touchdown run, as we talked about on the postgame podcast, Paris Johnson Jr. took his man basically from one hash mark and just shoved him to the other side of the field to the other hash mark. And Mayan just like 70 yards later. And it's not just Paris Johnson Jr. It's the entire offensive line. Justin Fry has them playing at a high level. Love what I'm seeing out of this O-line, Steve.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And down on the goal line, for the most part, they were very efficient putting the ball in the end zone. They had the one series. It seemed like it took them 15 minutes in human time to get it from the 3-yard line to the goal line finally. But, some of that was Rutgers with their penalties down there on the goal line as well, prolonging the drives twice inside the 10-yard line for Ohio State. So, that sequence became a little tedious, I think. I didn't understand spreading the field and then trying to run behind the tackle. That didn't make sense to me, but I know they probably figured, hey, we've got to get CJ a passing touchdown down here as well. They tried that a couple times to no avail with the rollout passes. I hate the rollout pass on the goal line because it cuts the field in half. Instead of 4 receivers, you're down to 1 or 2 that you can put the ball into if you do that. So, but on the whole, the offensive line is just playing phenomenal. And Paris Johnson, he's playing at an all-American level. Some of the other ones are playing at an all-Big Ten level. And, they just continue to dictate to the defense how it's going to go and move the line of scrimmage and do all the things that you got to do at this level to run the ball effectively. I don't think they had quite. Well, yeah, they had over 200 yards rushing because he had 189 himself. But yeah, it was an impressive performance, no doubt about it.
Yeah, love what I'm seeing out of them. All right, most of the show is positive stuff, but we've had questions about this too from our live audience and just comments. I mean, Steve, I don't know. I mean, I wrote about this morning and what we learned, the written version. I don't know. I don't have an answer for what's going on with Denzel Burke. I know he had the hand surgery, but he was struggling before that. And we saw Damon Arnett in 2019 have that club on his hand all year and turn himself into a first-round pick. Of course, it was the Raiders who picked him, and they're not very good at drafting players.
The Raiders.
But still, how many first-round busts have they had lately? But still, what the heck is going on with Denzel Burke, and can this be fixed?
Yeah, he didn't play like this last year. It's weird. There's a disconnect somewhere with Tim Walton, Denzel Burke, Jim Knowles. There's something that's not clicking with Denzel Burke, and I don't know how to put it. I mean, he changed numbers from 5 to 10. The result was still the same. The first touchdown was scored, right over him in the right corner of the end zone. Then later in the game, he's in good position, but seems to lose vision, gets turned upside down, and gives up another big play going to the Rutgers sideline, about a 22-yard play or whatever. If those are the only two plays they gave up the entire game, I can live with it. Rutgers only had, I think they kept them to under 200 yards total offense, like 180 or something, maybe. I looked at so many different games, I can't get up all the stats straight, but really Rutgers didn't accomplish a whole heck of a lot. We didn't think they would because they're playing their third string quarterback and they can't run it. So that's not a good combination. I mean, on the whole, you have to like what you're seeing out of this defense, but then you have to kind of tap the brakes and realize Wisconsin sucks. Rutgers sucks. Michigan State's offense sucks. Michigan State, in their 3-game losing streak, has averaged 60 yards rushing in 3 games. That's what they're averaging right now in those 3 games, 60 yards rushing. So they suck, and we know Iowa sucks. So that's 4 terrible offensive teams. A lot of sucking going on. Four terrible offensive teams Ohio State's going to play in a row. It's like murderer's row here. So I can't decide whether, we're going to Denny Green and we're going to crown them based on these 4 games, but I think I'd rather wait and see how they do against Penn State, and then I'll have a better idea whether this defense is legitimate or not. But I like the way that things are coming together. And Denzel Burke is going to, I say this week after week, he's going to play his way out of it. They really don't have anybody else to put out there. It's either him or it's Jair Brown at this point, because Cameron Brown, who knows when he's coming back from whatever he's got, and J.K. Johnson is doing a bang-up job on the other side. Ryan Turner got to play a little bit. He got in there late and had a sack, I think. So, he's got to clean it up. He's got to watch film. He's just got to get his technique cleaned up, and he's got to go play football. That's all there is to it. And it's kind of like Top Gun. You have a near fatal accident up there, 20,000 feet in the sky. You just got to get him back up in the plane, and get it. Forget the last play and keep grinding at it, because he's too good of a player. We say it every week. He's too good of a player. We saw this last year. He's a very good player to be giving up plays like this.
That's exactly right. We've also had a lot of comments from viewers about the level of concern about the injuries. We've had some people have even posted some comments. People are concerned about the injury situation. Jordan Hancock hasn't played yet. Cameron Brown can't stay healthy. He missed the game. Travion Henderson was nicked up, dressed, but he said in warm-ups he couldn't go. They're already razor thin at corner, as we know. There's some other guys that are nicked up. but it's football and they're 5 games in. So I don't know what to make of it. What's your level of concern overall about this football team and the injuries, Steve?
Well, you didn't mention Jackson Smith-Njigba, who Pete Demel, as we used to joke, the New York Times Ohio State beat writer Pete Demel, now with ESPN, came out on the pregame show and
that was Urban's guy, man. That was Urban's guy.
That was Urban. He and Urban were right here, buddy.
Yeah.
I mean, and he's the guy, people remember broke the Maryland story after he, was having issues on the sideline. It was kind of like okay, this is greasing the skids for we're heading down the home stretch with Urban Meyer here. But he said on the pregame show that he's likely liable not to play, for a few more weeks and may not get back till Iowa, which is October 22nd, or even Penn State October 29th.
Penn State sounds good to me.
Why
bring him back for Iowa? Iowa can't score to save their lives.
Yeah,
go ahead.
They already brought him back for Toledo, and he got re-injured, it seems like, and so it makes no sense until he's 100% that he would play. They are winning games without all these injured players, which I think has to be, and not only winning games, they beat Rutgers by 39 points. I think you have to be encouraged by what you're seeing and understand that you've got great depth, you've got talent, and you can account or you can make up for not having 3-year starters in this game, but it's not something where you want to go into, okay, now we're 5 starters down. Now we're 6 starters down. You don't want that. So need to stay healthy. I wonder if some of this is a byproduct of being more physical in practice, although I can't imagine that they're tackling Jackson Smith-Njigba in practice. I would have him in bubble wrap, but my son said he's the best player in college football, and he's only played like 20 snaps so far. So, it's been a rough year. So, not the year that guy envisioned, I don't think. But and same for Henderson. I mean, my goodness. I mean, you got to answer the bell, and it's too bad that he hasn't been able to do that. So, they're getting by. Running back. I mean, if something happened to Mayan Williams, I mean, where would you be then? I mean, that'd be a tough one.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we're Paul Chryst got fired. We'll talk about that in a minute, but I don't know why they have divisions. I know they're going to get rid of them eventually, but
hopefully this is the last year. Hopefully
they don't have divisions if you're in a conference, you don't need divisions. They don't do it in basketball in the Big Ten. Why do they do it in football? And it's more ridiculous than ever. You have the varsity and you have the JV, and it's absolutely ridiculous. So hopefully this is the last year. Yeah, talk more about that. Is that what you're hearing?
Well, that's what Gene Smith was lobbying for, and his word seems to carry a little bit of sway there. I would think with Kevin Warren that hey, we need to dump out of this, and I think they just signed their new TV contract. They'd actually make more money, I think, on the TV contract if they could guarantee a top 10 matchup in the Big Ten championship game every year. They can't do that now because the West. There's nobody in the West even ranked right now. So, how sad. Minnesota was flying high, and then to come home and just lay a total egg like that against Purdue. I mean, O'Connell's a good player and everything. I get that, but my God, Tanner Morgan threw 3 picks. I mean, that this is your senior quarterback. You can't be doing that. Wisconsin, Paul Chryst. On one hand, great program manager, and he'll put a football team on the field every week, but my God, that's the worst performance by a Wisconsin team I've seen. And somebody had the stat, they lost at home to Penn State 48-7 back in 2008. I don't remember that game. I know Penn State was really good that year. They came into Columbus and beat the Buckeyes. That wasn't that the It's Okay game with your friend Nick Siciliano and Terrell Pryor. That was that Penn State team.
Oh, gosh,
it was the last team that went into Wisconsin and did a number on the Badgers, like Illinois of all teams.
And Bielema. That's what I think really
Bert Beelzebub. Yeah.
Bielema, who left Wisconsin at the altar for Arkansas. leaves Wisconsin, who Barry Alvarez hands him the job, hands him a great roster, and then Bielema leaves Wisconsin for Arkansas, fails miserably at Arkansas, comes back to Illinois, the doormat of the Big Ten, and then goes into Camp Randall and blows them out, and they fire Paul Chryst the next day.
He's
Go
looking
ahead.
good. He's looking good in that orange pullover, by the way. He sporting the orange.
He would definitely have his wife if he was a millionaire, wouldn't he?
Oh
My gosh. Jeez. He's got this beautiful wife, and he just looks like, anyway, you know what I'm talking about. He looks like a big old giant orange.
Yeah. So Illinois, I mean, they got Chase Brown, this running back who's outstanding, and this quarterback, Tommy DeVito, who's really coming on as well. Maybe Illinois is a team to watch in that division. Illinois, Minnesota, and Purdue. Those are, I mean, how weird is it? I was driving up 71 on my way to the game, and Wisconsin's getting blown out, and Iowa can't get a first down. And it just occurred to me, those were the two teams that were picked in the West, and the season is over. On October the 1st, it's basketball season at Wisconsin and Iowa. I mean, there's no reason to watch the rest of the games. That's how bad it is. Mm-hmm. So I didn't think Iowa was going to be worth a crap this year. I picked them to go 5-7. I picked them when I looked at the game. See, the schedule, the way it stacks up for them is really difficult to me. That's what I thought. And that, and I even had them beating Iowa State, but, whatever. I just didn't think in the Big Ten they matched up very good, and they don't. And, I think it is time. The one thing I would say, if you scrap divisions, that would not be a great thing, is having to play Ohio State and Michigan twice in an 8-day period. I think that would be, I don't know what to make of that, because if you win the first one, let's say you win the first one 35-21, then you have to turn around and go play them under different conditions in the dome. It could favor the team that lost the first time around, goes into Indianapolis and wins the second one 42-21. You just don't know. And then, it negates the first one. We've seen it with Texas and Oklahoma, though. They've been rematched, and a different team has won that game the second time around. So, and last year, Oklahoma State and Baylor. Well, it's obvious now, Big 12, they play all 9 teams. So there has to be a rematch in their game. But the rivalry game in particular is not one that you really want or need to see a second time in the same year. That'd be a trade-off, because you're going to have that once or twice every 5 years, Ohio State versus Michigan. If not, are they making this the big 2.5 with Penn State and the little 11.5? The
little 11.5. Hey, at least our future Big Ten brethren, USC and UCLA, are playing well. Can we just add them now? Gosh, the stupid JV division. I'm just
that'd be one case to keep divisions, just because of the geography of them, and you can divide it right at the Indiana-Illinois line. That Purdue moves over to the east, and then USC and UCLA go in the west, and then USC and UCLA at least wouldn't have to come to the Eastern time zone except once or twice a year to play teams in the East. At least their games would only be a 2-hour difference in the Central time zone. But, man, there are so many logistics that are involved with this 16-team league. And, this is – no one even really considered basketball, but how do you stage a 16-team basketball tournament? Does one play 16 in the first round? You can't have 8 games at one site in one day.
Why does every team need to make it, in my opinion? Like, why are we giving out participation trophies? Like, my God, in high school football, not everybody makes the playoffs.
I don't think everyone makes the MAC tournament anymore, do they? I think they only go to the top 8 or something.
I mean, they shouldn't even do that now. I mean, I know it's money, so they'll figure out a way to do it.
Maybe they could have a first round with the lower 8 play each other at campus sites, and then the whatever advances out of that 12 teams.
The bottom 4 doesn't make it, and the next 4 have like a play in, or I don't know. They'd have to figure it out. Like, right. I don't.
Well, they're doing away with the ACC Big Ten Challenge, which has been a fabulous event, because no one has the thought to think outside the box and say, let's keep it. and ESPN will get to keep the games at the ACC arenas, and Fox would keep the games in the Big Ten arenas. I mean, it's not – that's what they did on the Gavitt games the first year or two, that they split it up. This is not rocket science, people. I mean, keep a great event. If you have a great event, keep it. I don't get this. But, again, no one gives a shit about basketball in this. So, and of course, at Ohio State, basketball is like, not even really a thought until February, but it doesn't seem a lot of times, unless they're playing Duke. But that, to me, I don't know. I'm saddened by some of what I say. I mean, we don't see West Virginia, Pittsburgh anymore. We don't see Texas A&M and Texas. All these great Nebraska, Oklahoma, all that stuff went by the wayside for money. So just the sooner we accept it, the better.
I had to finish the show by pissing Steve off. Sorry about that, Steve. So I get you up early, and then I get you mad. Sorry about that. Great stuff out of Steve Hellwagon. Appreciate it, my friend. Thank you to all the listeners and viewers out there. Thank you for all the comments and questions. Appreciate you guys very much. I know you have a lot of choices. Appreciate you making us part of your morning. Again, thanks to Steve. Thanks to all of you. Hope everyone has a great day.